Recent years have been very fruitful for archaeologists. Scientists managed to make a lot of interesting discoveries, which allowed to learn a lot of new things, and revealed the secrets of artifacts found earlier. In this review 10, the most significant archaeological finds of recent years. In Egypt in recent years, archaeologists have discovered a Roman-era tomb near the town of Minya, 3 more ancient tombs near Samolit that may be a much larger cemetery, and a tomb near the Valley of the Kings belonging to a jeweler named Amenemhat. Hundreds of artifacts have been found in the latter, but the most exciting discovery is a giant statue discovered in March beneath the Cairo suburb of Mataria. Archaeologists initially found the statue's 3-ton torso, and then dug up its head. Further excavations revealed a pedestal and 2 fingers, but scientists are confident that they will find all the missing parts of the statue as well. Based on the size of the torso, the entire statue should be about 9 meters tall. What made this discovery particularly intriguing was that at first experts believed that the statue represented Ramses the Great, especially since it was located near the ruins of his temple. However, a subsequent study revealed an engraving with the inscription Nebeye, a name used only by Pharaoh Psamtik I of the 26th dynasty. This makes this discovery the largest late-period statue ever found in Egypt. On February 17, 1864, the Confederate submarine H.L. Hunley became the first combat submarine to sink a battleship when she attacked the warship USS Housatonic. This success came at a great cost, as the Hunley and her entire crew disappeared the same day and were reported missing for 130 years. The wreckage of the submarine was discovered in 1995 and resurfaced in 2000. The skeletons of all 8 crew members were at their stations, and there was no sign of an attempted evacuation. This raised a new question: what was the cause of the crew's death? Recently, researchers announced that they had found the answer after extensive experiments. The explosion of the Hunley's own torpedo caused the deaths of all the people aboard the ship. The submarine was armed only with the pole torpedo, a mine at the end of a long pole that did not detach. The explosion caused a severe pressure drop, which caused the death of the submarine's crew. A genetic study has effectively debunked the myth of environmental genocide on Easter Island, which claimed that people on Rapa Nui died out due to war and total deforestation. The tiny Easter Island became known around the world for its moai statues, after which it was studied quite well by scientists. The more scientists research this small island, which is now almost devoid of any resources, the more they believe that the natives themselves had caused the ecocide on Easter Island. This idea was based on 2 assertions. First, the island's original population numbered in the tens of thousands, before dwindling to a few thousand by the time Europeans arrived in the early 18th century. Second, the people of Rapa Nui were careless in cultivating the land, which led to a gradual decline in crops and a shortage of timber. This eventually escalated into warfare and total extermination of the population. Archaeologist Carl Lipo was one of the first to challenge this theory of mass warfare between island tribes. He argues that the main evidence for the war is oral history, which is barely 300 years old, and its authenticity is highly questionable. Only 2.5% of the human remains on the island that were examined showed any signs of trauma. As for the trees, Polynesian rats may have caused the most damage, as they fed on both palm nuts and saplings. The results of a new genetic study confirmed that South Americans made contact with Rapa Nui centuries before Europeans. It also confirms that raids for slaves, introduced diseases, and forced migration since the 18th century are what actually led to the population decline. After more than 100 years of searching, archaeologists have announced that they have found the remains of a lost ancient temple dedicated to Artemis. The ruins are located on the Greek island of Euboea near the town of Amarinthos. Immediately, it should be clarified that this is not the Temple of Artemis, which was considered one of the seven wonders of the ancient world, and the remains of which are located in modern Turkey. Archaeologists began looking for the temple in the late 19th century. The reason the search took so long is that the archaeologists were looking in the wrong place. Based on the records of Strabo, a 1st century Greek geographer and historian, he wrote that the temple was located 7 stages from the ancient city of Eretria, and eventually, the ruins were found 60 stages, or almost 11 kilometers from that city. After the initial excavations, inscriptions bearing the name of Artemis were found, which confirmed the identity of the temple. The remains of an ancient shipwreck near the Greek island of Antikythera were discovered back in 1900, but scientists are still making new discoveries at the site. Divers have recently found a huge number of relics at the wreck site, and archaeologists are particularly intrigued by the hand of a bronze statue. First, bronze statues are among the rarest artifacts of antiquity. We know from surviving records that they were incredibly popular, but because of the value of bronze, most statues were melted down and recycled. Secondly, the hand fragment does not match any bodies of statues that have been found before. This led to speculation that the rest of the statue, and possibly others, could be found somewhere near the site of the underwater search. The early history of humans in North America is still unclear to scientists, and new discoveries are constantly rewriting the current understanding of that time period. In 2017, archaeologists discovered one of the earliest North American settlements on Tricket Island off the coast of British Columbia. This new find supports the idea that the British Columbia coast experienced a large human migration at one point in history. In addition, it also confirms oral histories, as the site was discovered through the stories of the Hunley indigenous peoples. According to them, Tricket Island was a small piece of land that never froze during the last ice age, and the Hunley ancestors took refuge there. After excavating to a depth of several meters, archaeologists found a layer of soil that contained a prehistoric hearth. It preserved fine flakes of charcoal soot, which was determined to be 14,000 years old. Back in the 1880s, archaeologists discovered a large 10th century Viking cemetery in the village of Birka on the island of Bjorka. There were approximately 1,100 graves on the site, but one grave with the code number BJ 581 stood out among them. This grave, which was located on an elevated terrace near the garrison, contained the complete equipment of a professional warrior: sword, axe, spear, combat knife, arrows, shields, and the skeleton of a horse. In addition, the scientists also found a board game called fruitful on the skeleton's knees. According to Dr. Charlotte Hedenstein Johnson, this indicated that the man was a strategist who made military decisions. The tomb clearly belonged to a high-ranking warrior. Everyone assumed the warrior was a man, but over the past few decades some have questioned this, claiming that the skeletal remains show signs of being a woman. In early 2017, researchers from Stockholm University put an end to the controversy by using DNA samples extracted from a skeleton's hand and tooth to show that the remains did not have a Y chromosome. That is, the discovery is the first confirmed burial of a high-ranking female Viking warrior. Drones have proven to be an invaluable tool for archaeologists because of their ease of use and the speed with which they can provide high-quality aerial photographs of hard-to-reach areas. In a short period of time, drones have helped find a number of ruins, shipwrecks, and other historical relics. One more item to add to this list is the Lost City, founded by Alexander the Great. The city in question is called Kalatka Darband, and it is located in the modern Kurdistan region of Iraq. The city was founded sometime in the late 4th century BC and had a thriving wine trade. Despite this, after a few centuries, the town disappeared from historical records and was forgotten for almost 2,000 years. The first photographs of Kalatga Darband were actually taken in the 1960s by CIA spy satellites. The images were declassified in 1996, and only recently came into the hands of scientists who realized what kind of ruins they showed. Subsequently, Iraqi and British archaeologists used unmanned aerial vehicles to take modern photographs of the area and found the lost city. Excavations at the site have already found Greco-Roman statues and Greek coins. The progress of the excavations has been extremely slow due to armed conflicts in the region. According to researchers from the University of Cambridge, the oldest recorded solar eclipse occurred on October 30, 1207 BC. They figured out this date by comparing Egyptian and biblical texts and developing a new method for calculating eclipse dates. The biblical story is taken from the book of Joshua in the Old Testament, when Joshua led the people of Israel into Canaan. Cambridge scholars were not the first historians to consider this passage to be a description of an astronomical event. However, they were the first to realize that it may not be a total eclipse, but an annular eclipse with a ring of fire during which the moon is too far away to completely cover the disk of the sun. There is independent archaeological evidence to support the presence of Israelites in Canaan between 1500 and 1050 BCE. This Egyptian text, now in the Egyptian Museum in Cairo, says that Pharaoh Merneptah defeated the people of Israel in Canaan during the 5th year of his reign. Based on this time frame, Cambridge researchers say that the only solar eclipse visible from Canaan occurred on the afternoon of October 30, 1207. Moreover, scholars can use this eclipse as a fixed point in history for other events, such as the reign of Merneptah or, more importantly, his father, Ramses the Great. In late 2016, people working on laying a new subway line in Rome stumbled upon a sensational discovery of great significance. After spending 6 months studying and authenticating the find, archaeologists made an official announcement in April 2017. They had discovered part of one of the oldest aqueducts in Roman history. Its dimensions are 32 meters long and 2 meters high, and it is located 18 meters below Piazza Cellimentana. According to a report by archaeologist Simon Morit, the aqueduct is about 2,300 years old and is probably part of the Aquae Appia, the oldest known Roman aqueduct, built in 312 BC. As newer aqueducts were built in Rome, this one began to be used as a sewer. If you liked the video, then don't forget to put a like and subscribe to the channel. There will be a lot of interesting, shocking, and exciting things ahead.